Imagine you're in a survival situation. What's the real value of gold or a painting hanging on your wall? This question isn't merely rhetorical, it's a reality check that has the potential to shift your entire perspective on value and worth. In a world that's thrown into chaos where societies crumble, and everyday conveniences are a thing of the past, the concept of value takes on a whole new meaning. The gold you've hoarded or that priceless painting you've been so proud of, suddenly their worth becomes questionable. You see, in a survival scenario, value is no longer dictated by market trends or societal norms. It's driven by necessity, practicality, and survival instincts. Gold, for all its glitter and prestige, is just a shiny metal. It won't quench your thirst, satiate your hunger, or keep you warm on a cold night. That painting on your wall, no matter how beautiful, won't help you light a fire or catch a meal. Similarly, other items that we often perceive as valuable, like bulky furniture or appliances, luxury items, or even digital currencies like Bitcoin, might prove more burdensome than beneficial. Their value is often tied to a functioning society, a stable economy, or a reliable power grid. Take away these structures and these items might end up being as good as worthless. In contrast, simple, practical items like a fire starter, garden seeds, or even cheap gloves from the dollar store can become priceless commodities. They are small, easy to transport, and most importantly, they fulfill immediate basic needs. In a survival situation, these are the items that can make the difference between life and death. So, as we delve deeper into this topic, let's keep this in mind. Value is not absolute. It's relative to our needs, circumstances, and survival. When the world is stripped to its bare essentials, the true worth of items becomes starkly apparent. Gold, a symbol of wealth and prosperity, is it really an asset in a survival scenario? Let's dive in and dissect the illusion of gold's value when the chips are down. Picture this: society as we know it has crumbled. You're in a survival situation trying to barter for goods. You've got a handful of gold coins, but who's going to want them? Gold is indeed valuable, but its high cost might be a deterrent when you're trying to trade for life-sustaining goods like food, water, or medicine. It's like trying to buy a loaf of bread with $1,000 bill. Now suppose someone does want your gold. How do you determine its worth? In our current society, we have a banking system that gives us the day-to-day value of gold. But in a survival situation, that system is gone. There's no way to accurately value gold. It becomes just a shiny, heavy object. Moreover, gold is a value holder. It's a way to store wealth for the future. But when survival is the order of the day, the future is a luxury few can afford to consider. You need goods and services now, not the promise of wealth in a world that may or may not come back to its former glory. And here's the kicker: gold, in and of itself, is not useful. It doesn't feed you, it doesn't keep you warm, it doesn't heal your wounds. It's not a tool you can use, it's not a skill you can learn. In a survival situation, practicality is king, and gold is a jester in a gilded cloak. So why do we cling to the idea of gold as a survival asset? Perhaps it's because we're so used to thinking of gold as valuable. But value is a human construct, and in a survival scenario, the constructs of the old world fall away. What's left is a simple truth: we need to survive, and gold can't help us do that. In the face of survival, gold loses its luster. So when you're planning for a survival scenario, think about what's truly valuable. Is it gold, or is it the things that can keep you alive? Size matters, but bigger isn't always better. When it comes to stockpiling for a survival situation, a common misconception is that the larger the item, the more value it holds. But let's debunk that myth right here, right now. Imagine this: you've stockpiled a warehouse full of furniture, appliances, even vehicles. You're feeling pretty confident, right? But when the time comes to barter, you're hit with a harsh reality. These bulky items are more of a burden than a boon. Firstly, let's talk about transport. In a crisis, mobility is crucial. The ability to quickly and efficiently move goods can be the difference between success and failure. But how do you move a couch or a refrigerator when fuel is scarce and roads are blocked? The answer is, you probably don't. You're stuck with your stockpile, unable to trade because you can't get your goods to the market. Then there's the issue of storage. These large items take up a lot of space. That's space that could be used for more practical, in-demand items. Items that could be bartered for necessities like food, water, and medical supplies. Suddenly, that antique grandfather clock doesn't seem quite as valuable, does it? And speaking of value, let's not forget about demand. In a survival situation, priorities shift dramatically. People won't be looking for luxury items or large appliances. They'll need the basics to survive. Food, water, shelter, tools, these will be the hot commodities. That state-of-the-art flat-screen TV? Not so much. So when it comes to bartering in a crisis, think small, think practical. Stockpile items that are easy to transport, easy to store, and in high demand. Remember, in a survival situation, size isn't a measure of value. It's a measure of burden. When mobility is key, size becomes a liability. In an era of digital currencies, is Bitcoin your ticket through a crisis? This question might echo in your mind as you consider the value of this digital gold in a survival scenario. But let's delve deeper into the complexities of this modern-day treasure. Bitcoin, a shining beacon of the digital age, has its roots deeply embedded in the world of technology. It's a virtual currency, existing only in the ether of the internet. Now picture this, a world where the power grid has collapsed, where internet servers are down, where your smartphone is just a shiny paperweight. In such a world, where does Bitcoin stand? Without the technology that birthed it, Bitcoin loses its essence, its existence becomes questionable. Think about the power grid. The entire digital realm, including Bitcoin, is dependent on this intricate, interconnected network. A single failure could trigger a domino effect, bringing the entire grid crashing down. In a survival situation, the power grid as we know it could be one of the first casualties. Without electricity, your digital wallet becomes inaccessible. Your Bitcoin as good as non-existent. This brings us to another critical challenge: accessing and trading Bitcoin. In a world without internet, how would you access your digital wallet? How would you trade your Bitcoin for the essentials you need to survive? The very process of accessing and trading Bitcoin is rooted in technology. Without the internet, without electricity, this process becomes a Herculean task, if not entirely impossible. So while Bitcoin may seem like a lucrative asset in today's technologically advanced world, in a survival scenario it's as useful as a chocolate teapot. And that's the folly of Bitcoin. When the world around you crumbles, when society as we know it ceases to exist, the true value of things becomes evident, and in that world, Bitcoin, with its dependency on technology and the power grid, fails to hold its ground. When the grid goes down, so does your digital fortune. In a world stripped of its luxuries, does a diamond still shine? As we traverse into the realm of survival, the allure of luxury items like jewelry and art begins to fade. Picture this, the world as we know it has changed. The glitz of gold, the sparkle of diamonds, the allure of ancient artifacts, all become meaningless when basic needs take precedence. These assets, previously perceived as symbols of wealth and power, suddenly lose their charm. They become burdens rather than treasures. In a survival scenario, a diamond necklace cannot quench your thirst, nor can a Picasso fill your belly. The practicality of these items diminishes, their value only perceived in a world of opulence and excess. A world that no longer exists. What use is a diamond if it cannot start a fire? What worth is a painting if it cannot shield you from the elements? Luxury is a concept lost in the face of survival. When survival is at stake, pragmatism reigns supreme. In the stark landscape of a post-collapse world, the allure of gold, the weight of bulky items, the digitized illusion of Bitcoin, and the vanity of luxury items all fade into insignificance. What rises to prominence are the small, the cheap, the useful, the practical. Imagine the worth of a handful of garden seeds, a promise of sustenance, a beacon of hope. Picture the value of a simple fire starter, a means to warmth, a tool for cooking. Consider the utility of a pair of gloves, protection for your hands, a shield against the elements. Think of the difference a dash of spice can make to a bland meal, a taste of normality in an abnormal world. These are the items that will add value to everyday life when every day is a struggle for survival. In a world stripped to its essentials, practicality is the true currency.